Hey there, great question. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Here's how I'm doing my shading for metal surfaces on this piece. I'll talk about flat and curved cylindrical surfaces. Flat surfaces first. For these surfaces, I'm mostly shading in line with the contours of the surface. So my lines are gonna run across the planes that the surface is running across. You have to think of it sort of in 3D. So you're gonna wanna have one set of lines running down along this plane, that whatever this object, the form is. And then for cross-hatching, you'll just want it running perpendicular to that plane. So more or less perpendicular to the previous set of lines. And then within that, I'm also using some gradienting. So the technique includes having less shading on one side, whichever side the light is on. For my Space Marine, the light is generally coming from his upper right or our upper left. So I'm leaving softer shadows on that side. And don't try to do anything too fancy with flat areas. It's just a flat surface, so the shadows should be pretty simple. Now, curved metal surfaces are where things get quote-unquote fancy. First of all, the hatching lines, again, you want to be running along the contours of the curve. So the lines should be curved. And since this is a large picture and I actually don't have the most steady hands, I draw a series of curved lines that go around the contour. And for the general effect, I mostly just go for a light, dark alternation with the highlights generally kind of facing the source of the light, although it's not really that technical. Also, you'll see that with the flat side of the cylinder, coming right at us, I'm shading radially. Again, this reinforces the circular nature of this form and also follows the plane, the three-dimensional plane that we're shading on. So once again, back on a curved surface of the cylinder, you want to have one or two highlighted areas near facing the light source, maybe another highlighted area on the other side just to help differentiate it from the shapes next to it. And then there's a large blocky area of medium shading. And then what I'd like to do is right next to one of the highlights, very close up against it, is to put a very dark, thin shadow. This really helps both the highlights and the shadows pop. And then I'll just put a few larger shadowed areas somewhere in the medium gray zones. These are usually bigger. Try not to keep them too regular. You want some randomness in there. So these are the main techniques I've chosen to use for my Space Marine. Obviously, there are other ways to do it, but this really gives it that toolish brushed metal effect.